Tonight, we're trekking across the vast, snow-capped peaks and rugged valleys of Central Asia to a place where ancient myths collide with modern cryptozoology. We're talking about the Barmanou, the Pakistani equivalent of the Yeti, the wild man of the Hindu Kush. When most people think of a bipedal cryptid in Asia, they picture the giant towering Yeti of the Himalayas, or perhaps the smaller forest-dwelling orang pendek. But tucked away in the perilous, politically charged mountains of northern Pakistan, a different, equally mysterious figure lurks. The Barmanou is a legend whispered among nomadic herders, a creature that embodies the line between man and beast, and whose story is inextricably linked to one of the most dedicated and ultimately tragic quests in cryptozoological history. We'll look at it all only on tonight's episode of The Weekly Strange. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Weekly Strange. I'm your host, John F. Murs, author, actor, adventurer. The name itself, Barmanou, is derived from the Kawar language spoken in the Chitral region. It translates simply and ominously as the big hairy one, or wild man. This is not a giant of the mountains, however. It is something far more intimate and unsettling. A potential relic hominid that may be closer to us on the evolutionary tree than any other living great ape. Its domain stretches across the formidable Karakoram and Hindu Kush ranges, through the Chitral district, and into the remote valleys of Shishikut and Bamborat. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing any of these. These are lands of extreme altitude, sparse human population, and dense coniferous forests. Perfect terrain for an elusive, intelligent creature to hide for millennia. To truly understand the Barmanou, you have to look past the sensational headlines and delve into the methodical, painstaking work of the man who risked everything, literally, to find it. Spanish zoologist Jordi Magraner. Magraner's obsession began in the late 1980s. He moved to Pakistan, immersed himself in the local culture, learned the Kawar language, and dedicated the next 15 years of his life to following the Barmanou's trail. His work represents the single greatest body of evidence surrounding this creature, transforming it from mere folklore into a serious topic of scientific inquiry. Magraner's methodology was simple yet effective. He sought out local witnesses, the shepherds, the nomadic Gujars, and the villagers whose lives intersected with the high pastures where the Barmanou allegedly lived. Over his years of tireless research, he collected more than 50 first-hand sighting accounts, narrowing them down to 27 detailed, consistent testimonies that form the foundation of our understanding. These testimonies provided a stark and remarkably unified physical profile. The Barmanou, according to Magraner's extensive notes and sketches, is not the colossal beast many expect. Adult males stand between 1.7 and 1.8 meters, or about 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 9 inches tall. They are of a stocky, muscular build with broad shoulders and robust, powerful limbs, a build necessary for surviving in such a harsh, high-altitude environment. The body is covered in thick, long hair, often measuring 8 to 12 centimeters in length. The color is predominantly a dark or reddish-brown, though around 40% of reports mention lighter, almost gray or beige tones, suggesting natural color variation or perhaps aging. Crucially, the hair does not cover the entire body. The face, the palms of the hands, and the soles of the feet are explicitly described as being hairless, further emphasizing its hominid rather than ape-like traits. Now let's talk about the face, the most chilling detail of all. Witnesses describe a face that was a terrifying blend of human and archaic primate. They reported prominent brow ridges, a low or receding forehead, and a wide mouth filled with massive human-like teeth that lacked the prominent fangs of modern apes. The nose was often described as flattened or upturned, with large forward-projecting ears. It is a face that appears intimidating, almost brutal, but recognizably hominid in structure. Magraner took these consistent descriptions and performed a remarkable test. He presented his eyewitnesses with a comprehensive ID kit, a series of drawings that included modern apes, various fossil hominids, and aboriginal humans. Overwhelmingly, the local people picked out the reconstruction of Heuvelmann's Homo pongoides, a theoretical relic hominid linked to the European wild man, or possibly a surviving Neanderthal. This convergence of indigenous testimony with a specific scientific hypothesis is the cornerstone of the Barmanou's enduring mystery. It's a powerful indication that witnesses across a wide geographic area were seeing the exact same creature, one which may represent a genuine missing link. Now, the testimony regarding the Barmanou's behavior is just as specific and unsettling. The creature is highly nocturnal or crepuscular, meaning it hunts and travels during the twilight and nighttime hours, a clear evolutionary adaptation to avoid human encounters. Magraner's analysis showed a definitive negative correlation between the frequency of Barmanou reports and the level of human activity. It is a creature that actively and intelligently minimizes interaction. Shepherds, the group most likely to cross its path, provided the most detailed behavioral accounts. One specific testimony recorded in 1988 came from a shepherd named Perdum Khan, who reported the incredible experience of observing a male Barmanou for 2 hours in 1977. Now imagine having a creature that the rest of the world considers a myth simply existing right in front of you for such a prolonged period. This kind of detailed observation is the backbone of zoological study, and in this case, it was applied to a cryptid. Another pervasive detail in the testimony is the creature's unmistakable signature scent. Multiple accounts mention a foul, putrid odor, often likened to rotting garbage or stale, feral musk. This is a common element in worldwide cryptid lore, from the American skunk ape to the Canadian Sasquatch, and it suggests a specific type of diet or biological function that produces this powerful, unpleasant smell, perhaps as a territorial marker. Furthermore, the Barmanou's intelligence is suggested by reports of rudimentary cultural traits. Some witnesses have claimed to see the Barmanou wearing the skins of animals upon its back and head. Whether this is an intentional act of clothing or simply a practical way to carry a carcass, it suggests an intellectual capacity for manipulation and resource use far beyond the capabilities of non-hominid primates. There are also the limited but noted reports of the Barmanou using sticks for support while walking, an active rudimentary tool use that again aligns with a relic hominid whose bipedal locomotion would free its hands for such tasks. When we discuss evidence, the Barmanou case is classic cryptozoology. The physical body remains elusive, but there are tantalizing traces. While no confirmed photograph or video of the creature has ever been verified, the Barmanou remains perfectly unphotographed, defying every modern camera trap and expedition. Investigators have collected 2 crucial pieces of non-visual data. First, the audio evidence. In May 1994, during a trek through the Shishikur Valley, Jordi Magraner, accompanied by fellow researchers, had a truly spine-chilling experience. They heard 2 series of unusual guttural sounds emanating from the forested slopes. They concluded that the calls could only have been produced by a primitive primate voice box. The sounds were unlike anything that they had encountered in the regional fauna, a raw, powerful vocalization of an unknown creature, confirming the auditory reports of the shepherds who often heard these calls preceding fleeting visual sightings. Second, the footprints. Unlike the massive, often suspiciously large tracks attributed to the Yeti, the Barmanou's prints are more modest and therefore, in a way, more compelling. The footprints are bipedal, meaning they show a clear two-legged stride, and they are strikingly human-like in shape. Magraner's measurements showed an average print length of around 26.5 centimeters or 10.4 inches. This is slightly larger and wider than the average local male foot, but still well within the realm of a robust hominid. Importantly, these tracks were found to be consistent, suggesting a non-human structure of a truly bipedal creature. Reports of a much larger tracks, sometimes mentioned in general Yeti lore, are often discounted by serious researchers like Magraner, who believed they were distorted by snowmelt and erosion. The consistent bipedal tracks combined with the detailed visual testimonies paint a picture of a creature that walks like us, but is not us. To complete the Barmanou's profile, we must address the most sensational and darkest part of its folklore, the reports of abduction and attempted mating with women. This is a terrifying aspect of the traditional stories, where the Barmanou has a reputation for being strongly libidinous, sometimes abducting women and carrying them back to its hidden dwelling, often vaguely described as a cave or an underground abode. It is critical to note that Magraner's research focused on recent verifiable sightings from the late 20th and early 21st century, and he found no such incidences of abduction or rape being credibly reported in recent decades. It seems that this element is largely a fixture of the ancient dramatic folklore, the wild man of the woods trope, found in cultures worldwide, meant to symbolize the untamed, dangerous forces of nature and the contrast with civilized human life. However, its continued presence in the lore is a testament to the creature's powerful cultural impact and the intense fear it once, or perhaps still, inspires. The mystery of the Barmanou's dwelling is another captivating detail. Despite their exhaustive searches, neither Magraner nor any other investigating zoologist has ever discovered a Barmanou den or permanent home. This suggests a highly sophisticated understanding of its environment and an extremely effective strategy for camouflage and evasion, perhaps utilizing temporary shelters or an intricate network of deep hidden caves that even seasoned mountain dwellers have never found. Unfortunately, the quest for the Barmanou took a tragic turn in 2002. Jordi Magraner, the man who had given up his entire life to live among the Barmanou's shadows, was found murdered in the Bomboret village. The circumstances surrounding his death remain murky, complicated by the tumultuous political situation in the region at that time. Whether his murder was a tragic consequence of political violence or somehow connected to the sensitive nature of his research, perhaps an unwanted intrusion into a deep-rooted cultural secret, is a mystery that was never truly solved. His death effectively ended the most dedicated scientific expedition into the Barmanou's existence, leaving behind a wealth of data, but no definitive proof. So the question remains, does the Barmanou exist? The evidence we have, the detailed, consistent witness testimony from dozens of independent sources, the specific measurable bipedal footprints, the compelling audio evidence of a primitive vocalization, and the entire framework of Magraner's dedicated work all point to the same conclusion, that something is living in the remote Hindu Kush mountains. For many cryptozoologists, the Barmanou is the most plausible of the big three wild men, Yeti, Sasquatch, and Almas, to represent a relict hominid population. Its relatively small size, its human-like teeth, its preference for lower altitudes compared to the true Yeti, and its physical description all align remarkably well with theories of a surviving Homo heidelbergensis, or a form of Neanderthal, adapted and isolated in this rugged refuge for millennia. Whether it is an uncontacted population of Homo sapiens or a distinct ancient hominid species, the Barmanou continues to represent a true frontier of discovery. It is a terrifying primal possibility that sits quietly, elusively in the hidden mountains of Pakistan. It remains a silent challenge to our rigid view of the world, reminding us that even in the age of satellites and instant information, the wilderness still holds secrets deep enough to swallow those who pursue them. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of The Weekly Strange. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new uploads. If you really enjoy the content, please consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to some pretty cool perks. I will be back in just a few days with another episode. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Good night.